Hello everyone, I'm the Saxy Gamer. Today we're here for yet another Civilization 6 First Impressions video. Today we have Dido and the Phoenicians. I almost just said Carthage, but it's not Carthage, it's Phoenicia in this game, even though Dido led Carthage in Civ 5. But they were just announced a few hours ago, so if you haven't seen the first look video, go ahead and check it out. Link will be in the description below. And just my disclaimer that I give on these videos is that these really are my very first impressions. I'm not going to go too in-depth, I'm not going to go, super analytical. I'm just going to give my face value of what I think about the various abilities and traits of the Phoenicians in Civilization 6. So I've only watched the first look once, and well, this is going to be what I think. So starting off here, I'm just going to start with a nice ability screen. We do have Dido, who I must say is a pretty nice character model. It's much better than Christina of Sweden. I'm going to trash on Christina again, just because some people got very offended at the fact that I called Christina ugly in the last First Impressions video. But you know what? I don't even take it back. She is pretty hideous. But Dido here, she's looking pretty good. I mean, nonetheless, the character models from Firaxis are always really good, and just the amount of expressions that they managed to get in Civ 6 is something that's truly outstanding, even for someone like Christina, who is, just not the most attractive individual. But nonetheless, so Dido's first ability is known as Founder of Carthage, and it makes it so that she can move her capital to a city with a Cothon by completing a unique project in that city. She also gains +1 trade route capacity for each government plaza building and the government plaza district itself, and she gains +50% production towards districts in the city with the government plaza. So let's tear this ability down a little bit. So can move their capital to a city with a Cothon. We'll talk about that part later, just because we have to understand the rest of her things to actually understand why that's important. But +1 trade route capacity for each government plaza building and the government plaza district. I don't know. I don't think that's very good, just because she doesn't have any bonuses to her trade routes. Like someone like Mansa Musa, who gets a lot of extra gold from each individual trade route and then can get additional trade route capacity from Golden Ages, it very much fits into his playstyle, and it's something that he synergizes very well with. So I think it's like, so additional trade route capacity is strong on him, but for someone like Dido, I don't really know. I don't think that's very good, especially since it's tied to the government plaza building as well. And I guess they're kind of going for some government plaza building stuff, but it just doesn't seem to fit in. She doesn't have any other bonuses to trade routes. I guess she can be a trade civ, but she really doesn't have that many bonuses towards it. So I don't think that those extra trade route slots are very good. So really this would end up being +4, assuming that you build all of the government plaza, because you have the government plaza itself and then 3 tiers of buildings. So that effectively would be +4 trade route capacity, which I guess in the long run is pretty good, but it's going to take a while to build that up, and I think that in the short term, I don't think it's going to be very impactful. The one thing that could change my view of this is how effective trade routes are going to be in Gathering Storm, because they are getting a bit of a rework so that they now take into account factors such as crossing ocean tiles or crossing other terrain types. So that could get you a lot more gold from trade routes. I admittedly don't know exactly how much that's going to be, though, and maybe that could make this ability a little bit better. But at my first impression, I don't think that those trade routes are going to be really all that impactful, and they don't synergize incredibly well with the rest of the stuff that Dido does. The other part of this ability, +50% production towards districts in the city with the government plaza, once again, I just think it's kind of underwhelming. I mean, don't get me wrong, +50% production towards districts in the city with the government plaza is incredibly good, but it really just doesn't fit in with the rest of the stuff that Dido does, because for her other abilities, she has a lot of bonuses towards, settling on coast and expanding along coast. So you're going to be settling probably a lot of cities with Dido, and you're going to be expanding quite a bit. The fact that you only get this bonus in a single city, and that's the one that constructs the government plaza, really just kind of makes it pretty bad. I'm not going to lie. I mean, 50% production is very nice, but as I mentioned, getting that in one city really just sucks, and even compare that to something like Nubia. So Nubia gets 20% production towards all districts in all cities, which is pretty good. If they have a Nubian pyramid adjacent to the city center, that rises to +40%. So already you can get +40% production towards all districts in multiple cities, which just blows this ability out of the water. As far as a suggestion for what I think they can do to improve it is, maybe they could make it so that way, they might have to drop the percentage increase, but maybe make it like an aura, so that way it applies to all cities within maybe 8 tiles. So all cities within 8 tiles of the government plaza gain 50 or 40% production towards districts. I think that would be a much better utilization of this ability. That way you would still have the emphasis on that government plaza. You would still get quite a bit of a good production increase to your districts. It wouldn't be insanely overpowered, because Nubia has something that is effectively very similar, and I think that that would just go to beef up this ability a lot more, as just because I really just don't think it's very strong as a whole. So that's my suggestion for buffing Founder of Carthage, because overall as an ability, I really just don't think it's very good. Dido's second ability is known as Mediterranean Colonies, and it makes it so that she begins the game with the writing technology. Her coastal cities that are founded by her and located on the same continent as the Phoenician capital are 100% loyal, so that means that they will never be losing loyalty ever. Her settlers gain +2 movement and +2 sight range while embarked, and settlers ignore additional movement costs from embarking and disembarking. So Mediterranean Colonies, I think, is decent. I really don't get the point of beginning the game with a writing technology, Eureka. I mean, that's probably some historical thing. I mean, it definitely is, because the Phoenicians were the first one to invent writing, so I guess it makes sense, but, like, I find in pretty much every single game I get the Eureka for writing anyways, so that's just, like, whatever. I mean, it's a nice touch, I guess, but, like, it's not really that great. But coastal cities founded by Phoenicia and located on the same continent as the Phoenician capital are 100% loyal. This, I think, can be incredibly strong, because one of the biggest issues and one of the things I complain about all the time in Civ 6, and I know if you've watched me for a while, you're going to get tired of me hearing this, but as I mentioned, naval domination is an issue because of loyalty. Expanding to different continents is an issue because of loyalty. But with that in mind, with Dido, what you can do is either if you get lucky and you're on a really big continent, then you can go and you can settle pretty much wherever you want if you're on the same continent as your capital. Or otherwise, what you can do is you can settle as you normally would, like on the same continent as your capital, and just have your loyalty be positive as it is. And then when you're ready to expand, you can start settling on another continent and move your capital using Founder of Carthage. So, you know, you can run that district or that city project to move the capital to that city that's on a different continent, and then all the cities you settle on that continent will have no loyalty issues at all. So I think that's incredibly strong. It's actually going to make it so that she will be able to expand on other coastlines throughout other continents. She can do naval domination without too much of an issue. So I think that part of Mediterranean Colonies is very strong. The settlers gaining +2 movement and +2 sight range while embarked. It's not incredibly strong, but I mean, I guess it is at least decent, and it fits in with her playstyle of, you know, expanding around the coastline, so I think that's pretty okay. And same thing with the settlers ignoring additional movement costs from embarking and disembarking. It's not outstanding, but I mean, I guess it's okay, and it does fit in with her playstyle, so I guess she gets some points for that. But yeah, this part of Mediterranean Colonies that makes it so that the cities that are on the same continent as her capital are 100% loyal, I think that has potential to be incredibly strong, and that's going to be something that's going to take quite a bit of skill to use effectively, though, I think. But in the right hands, I think that can be used well, and I believe they showed a thing, was it later? Yeah, up here, of what you can do with this. So you can see that this city is evidently not on the same continent as her capital, because presumably her capital is over here with the rest of her cities. And what they do is they move the capital over here, and then this Ottoman city is now losing loyalty, and then it eventually rebels, so you can kind of use that to expand, which I think is something that it's a cool gameplay mechanic, but it might be a little bit gimmicky, and it's probably going to take a good amount of skill to actually pull that off effectively. For Phoenicia's unique unit, we have the Bireme, which replaces the galley and has increased combat strength and movement, and trader units are immune to being plundered if they are within 4 tiles of a Bireme and on a water tile. So I guess I kind of lied about traders and trade routes having no bonuses. They technically get a slight bonus from this, but I don't think that's going to be that important. But the Bireme, I think, is probably going to be pretty okay. It does have, let me see, it has, 30 base strength. Let me quickly look up how much you would normally get from a, whatchamacallit. So from a galley, you normally have 25 melee strength, so it is a 5 combat strength boost. Not incredibly good, but it is definitely substantial, and it will make quite a bit of a difference. I guess I could have just literally looked right here on this page, because it has the galley's base strength right there. It also does show that the galley has 3 movement, and the Bireme has 6, which is a nice movement increase as well. So I think the Bireme is going to be pretty good. I can definitely see this being useful early game. it's going to be like kind of like the playstyle that you normally go with, say, Herald, in which you, in the early game, you just spam out a bunch of naval units and then go conquer the coastline, because if you're on your own continent, you don't even have to worry about loyalty. You can just go and snag a bunch of cities that are on the coastline, not have to worry about loyalty, and then you can keep them for the rest of the game. So I think the Bireme is going to be pretty good, and I think it actually is going to fit into Phoenicia's playstyle quite well. So I don't have very many complaints with the Bireme. I mean, the extra combat strength is nice, the extra movement is nice. Traders not being able to be plundered if they're within 4 tiles, I mean, I don't think that's going to be too great, but I think it is at least somewhat nice. So overall, my thoughts on the Bireme are that it's probably going to be a pretty decent early game unique unit. Phoenicia's unique district is known as the Cothon, and it replaces the Harbor District, and it is a bit cheaper than the Harbor District as well, and obviously you have to build it on a coast or lake tile. So it will provide plus 50% production towards naval units and settlers in the city, and all wounded naval units in the city's borders heal 100% HP per turn. So the Cothon is, I think that has the potential to be a pretty good unique district. It's definitely going to be very good in the early game. Plus 50% production towards naval units and settlers is very good, especially the settlers part. If you can get one of these out in your early cities, or multiple of your early cities, you can spam out settlers ridiculously fast if you combine that with the policy card. That's then going to give you an additional 50% production, so you can get double production towards all your settlers if you have Cothons and that policy card. So that is going to be really good. You can expand super fast, not have to worry about loyalty very much, and I think that that is going to be a very good part of the strategy for Phoenicia, is this early game coastal expansion. And I think that's mainly what their shtick is supposed to be, and I guess it makes sense just because of who Phoenicia was in history. So that part of the Cothon I think is good, and even in the late game, the 50% production towards all naval units with the Cothon is very good, I think. All wounded naval units in the city's borders heal 100 HP per turn. Once again, I think that's very strong. I can see that being more useful late in the game whenever you have to defend against someone who may be attacking you navally, because if someone doesn't kill one of your naval units in a single turn, it's going to heal up the full health next turn, and then you're probably going to be pretty screwed. So attacking Phoenicia with a naval attack is going to be an absolutely horrible idea, and if there's a Cothon in the city, you're going to get destroyed. So I think that the instant heal for all of the naval units is pretty strong as well. It does suck that this gets no additional adjacency bonuses, though, but, I mean, it has pretty strong bonuses outside of that, and, you know, having the Cothon allows you to move your capital as well, so I think that that is another pretty decent part. So now let's just kind of take a step back and look at everything as a whole and kind of discuss what I think Phoenicia's playstyle is going to be and what their niche is going to be. So looking at all of this, I think the big thing, as I've kind of mentioned it already, but it's going to be early expansion along the coastline, probably some early naval aggression with the Bireme, and also that just kind of, you know, fits in with the whole expansion thing. And then I think the victory condition for them is going to be naval domination. I'm not 100% sure, but it seems to just kind of fit in well. They have the Cothon, which allows them to heal up all of their naval units incredibly fast. They can produce them incredibly fast as well. They like to be expansionist, and they have a method of dealing with loyalty issues. So I definitely think that naval domination is going to be the way to go with Dido. Outside of that, though, she really has no bonuses towards anything. She doesn't have any additional yields. She doesn't have, you know, any additional, you know, sources of tourism, any sources of amenities, any other sources of loyalty outside of this. So I'm not really sure what else she's going to do. She's going to be very limited on playstyles, and I'm going to assume that naval domination is still not going to be great, because no matter what, even if you're going for naval domination, you're still going to have to go land domination as well, unless you're playing on one of the like heavily naval-focused map types, which I think that's going to be the way to play Phoenicia, because otherwise you're probably not going to have that much fun. But in most cases, you're going to have to go land domination as well, so naval domination can only get you so far, and I don't think that Phoenicia is going to be incredibly strong. As I've mentioned once already, I really want them to buff Founder of Carthage. I think that they should change this to be the aura, and that all cities within maybe, I don't know, 8 or 10 tiles of the government plaza will gain some sort of percentage-based boost towards their districts. As I mentioned, they could lower this down. They could keep it at 50%, and then I think that that Phoenicia would be a very competitive civilization. But I definitely think it needs some change, because just getting this production boost in the single city that has a government plaza is really just not that good. But outside of that, I think that the Bireme is pretty good. I think that Mediterranean colonies has some sort of potential, and I think the Cothon is a pretty good unique district. So overall, my prediction for Phoenicia as far as like where they're going to sit on the tier list is probably going to be either C or D tier. They're very limited with their play style. It's pretty gimmicky, and it's going to take a bit of skill to actually pull it off very well. So I don't think they're going to be very good. The way I see it right now, Dido is pretty much just a better, a better Herald. So she's a better Norway. She's definitely not F tier. She's potentially D tier and probably going to be C tier. If they buff this ability, I think that she then has ability to maybe rise up that a little bit. But even so, she's so just unfocused on particular victory types. She doesn't have really any yield bonuses that directly correspond to victories. And the only bonuses that she have really kind of lend towards naval domination, which is a single play style, which is just horribly non-versatile, and there are some instances where that would work out, but quite a few of them where it's not going to get you far enough for victory. So, yeah, I predict about C tier for the Phoenicians. So thank everyone for watching. I've been the Saxy Gamer. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you're looking for more Civilization 6 content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.